everyone, and welcome to podcast 9 3/4, a Potter podcast. I'm your host, the Half-Blood Princess. Today I'm going to talk about 5 facts about the first Wizarding War you may not have known. Before we get started, if you love Harry Potter as much as I do, be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. The Harry Potter series begins after Voldemort's fall from power and leads into the Second Wizarding War. However, we are given a ton of information over the First War through a combination of behind-the-scenes reveals from J.K. Rowling and Easter eggs spread throughout the series. I've got you covered with 5 facts about the First Wizarding War you may not have known. The war lasted for 11 years. Voldemort returned from his disappearance in 1967, during which he spent the next 3 years growing his supporters and working from the shadows. It was in 1970 that Voldemort fully rose in power, as he not only made his bid for supremacy public, but also started appearing in person. This is considered the beginning of the First Wizarding War, since Voldemort dropped all pretense and targeted the Ministry of Magic. The war continued until October 31st, 1981, by which point it had been 11 years of turmoil for the wizarding world. Of course, this was the day that Voldemort made his ill-fated attempt to slay Harry, resulting in his own banishment. Very few Death Eaters even knew each other's true identities. The Death Eaters' trademark appearance comprises of a mask and a long hood to go with their black robes. These aren't just for show, though, because Voldemort deliberately kept their dress codes this way in order to avoid one Death Eater from knowing who the other was. Voldemort dispensed of this practice in the Second Wizarding War, where the Death Eaters knew one another as their numbers were far fewer than the original war. The first time around, Death Eaters were required to keep their masks on at all times, and Voldemort alone knew who all of them were. This is proven by the fact that the Death Eater Severus Snape had no idea that Peter Pettigrew had defected from the Order of the Phoenix to join Voldemort's supporters. McGonagall's brother was killed by Death Eaters. Minerva McGonagall isn't an only child. She had 2 brothers. One of them, Robert McGonagall Jr., was killed by Death Eaters during the First Wizarding War. Interestingly, Robert's demise had nothing to do with him being of any importance, as he was eliminated simply because the Death Eaters wanted to provoke fear into the public. Robert joins a long list of innocent half-blood, Muggleborns, and Muggles who were slain for this reason. Aurors used the same tactics as Death Eaters. At the height of the war, there was little to separate the Death Eaters from the Aurors. Bartimus Crouch, head of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement, took to cruel tactics in the name of justice. To this end, Crouch legalized the use of the unforgivable curses, meaning Aurors possessed the authority to kill, torture, and control anyone they perceived as a threat. This move carried the side effect of making Aurors just as terrifying as Death Eaters, as the public didn't have the favor of the law anymore. Moreover, those that the Aurors incorrectly used the unforgivable curses on had no choice but to suffer without anything to defend themselves. Wizards accused of being Death Eaters were sent to Azkaban without trials. By the time the First Wizarding War had entered its worst phase, the Ministry of Magic stopped taking any chances and simply convicted wizards based on either circumstantial evidence or per their own belief. This was enacted by Barty Crouch Sr., who wanted to appear ruthless in his bid to be appointed as the next Minister of Magic. Crouch was notorious for sending prisoners like Sirius Black to Azkaban, despite Sirius never even receiving an investigation over his supposed crime. This caused widespread panic in the wizarding world, as innocent people were scared they would be sent to Azkaban for crimes they didn't commit, leading to public places being empty as people stopped leaving their houses. These are just a few things that happened during the First Wizarding War, but be sure to comment and leave your thoughts and opinions down below. As always, be sure to like and subscribe. Okay, love you. Bye.